I'm Sarah, also known as S.L. Grange. I'm a writer and theatre maker. I love making collaborative work, often with music. I met Catherine about 15 years ago when she was working with a friend of mine.
Hi, my name is Catherine Kontz. I'm a composer. I come from a classical background. My work can be, small pieces for one person or really large pieces like operas or take over my life. Fleet Footing is a piece that I created with Sarah Grange. So together we came up with the concept of doing this sound walk.
I remember when this was all I remember.
Garage B16.
Je peux définitivement l'entendre.
I can definitely hear it.
I knew I wanted to make something about the Fleet River. I love digging into London's history and all the secrets and oddities hidden in the city. I read somewhere that if you sit on the steps of St Pancras Old Church, you can still hear the lost river flowing past underground. I tried it out and couldn't hear anything except traffic, so I started thinking about ways to bring the river back to our hearing, to tell its story and rediscover its voice.
Look down! The fleet is singing for you already.
Catherine was the perfect person to work with on this, as she makes amazing music out of really unusual sources and instruments, and her work is so playful.
I like to think about music in the space and also the way the audience experiences the music. So it's not uncommon that I take it out of the concert hall. And with Fleet Footing, that is what happened. It went into the wild of London.
The celebrity of these waters being confined chiefly to its own immediate vicinity for a number of years, the present proprietors thought proper to give a more extensive publicity to the existence of a nostrum provided by nature through divine providence, approaching nearest that great desideratum of scientific men and mankind in general throughout all ages, namely a universal medicine.
We walked the route together a couple of times to get a feel for it and think about where might be good points to listen and record. Then I walked it on my own one day, stopping to write at interesting points, any places where the river was audible or where I'd found out some interesting bits of history.
It was Sarah's idea originally to create a choir piece to be performed on the steps of St Pancras Old Church, because apparently you can hear the river underneath flowing. And we then, as we explored the idea of the fleet and found out about its history and went to see where it actually runs, we quickly went away from the original choir idea and thought that it was much more fun to send the audience into Hampstead Heath and then all the way to Blackfriars, where it then goes into the Thames.
We spent another day out and about with James Bull, a sound recordist who knew how to use a binaural microphone and helped us gather field recordings, sometimes by lowering small mics down the gratings to record the fleet below ground. It was great fun to do, and we got lots of questions from curious passers-by who were all fascinated to hear about the river beneath their feet. People often assume the piece is an app, but it's nothing like that high-tech. It's simply an album that you download, along with a map and some very simple instructions.
The work is recorded, as I said, in a binaural way, which means that it works very well with headphones, and it's made for that. It means that you get an awareness of the space around you in a very different way from a stereo track, and it makes for quite fun listening. When you come on fleet footing on the walk, you will have your own set of headphones and plug into your own device usually, or you will have a little splitter and share the device with someone else. So you download the album, if you like, before, and there's a map to follow that shows you exactly where to walk and where to stop.
You can print the map at home or have it on your smartphone along with the tracks and then follow the route, maybe get a little bit lost and find some surprises on the way, and meander along, pausing to listen, stopping to observe and taking your time with it. It was really important to us that we made the most accessible piece possible, so the route is step-free.
You can also do the walk anytime you like, alone or with your loved ones or your dog or... And there are 17 stations where you can listen to our artistic responses to these different places where there's something to learn about the history of London or the river itself, or some stories that are connected to the river, and that we then explore in our medium, which for me is then the music, and for Sarah it's words and poetry. And you should take your time and actually take in the city in a different way than you have before. You will see things you have never seen, even in the streets you know really well. And you will never walk these streets again without knowing that the fleet runs under your feet.